Hi, this is Patrick Kalange with Northwest Institute of Type and Design. Today I'm going to be showing you an excerpt of my course, Illustrator Designing with Type. First we'll be going over how to stack the multi-part font LHF Robusto. Then I'm going to show you a clever little trick on how to change text quickly using the Find and Replace function within Adobe Illustrator. Although we'll be using Adobe Illustrator, this process will work the same in most programs that contain the Find and Replace function. In Adobe Illustrator CS6, I have created a document with two layers. I've locked the background layer containing the paper texture you see. Down in my Layers panel, you will see these two layers. Starting on the topmost layer, in this case layer 2, I'm going to be showing you how to use the multi-part font LHF Robusto. With my Type tool selected, I'm going to go up to my character options, and in the character drop-down menu, I'm going to select LHF Robusto Regular. Then I'll type out the word Robusto. I'm using the regular version to start so we can see the word we're going to be layering. This particular multi-part font actually has 5 stackable fonts. I'm going to change the font from LHF Robusto Regular to the font that should be the bottommost text layer. In this case, it is LHF Robusto Shadow 2. Down in my Layers panel, I'm going to keep everything organized, starting off by renaming this layer Shadow 2, which matches the name of the font on that layer. Duplicate the layer by dragging the layer onto the new layer icon. This will place a duplicate copy on top of the original layer. Hide the Shadow 2 layer by clicking the eye icon. Rename the copied layer to Shadow 1. Now we need to change the font on this layer from LHF Robusto Shadow 2 to LHF Robusto Shadow 1. You will notice that Shadow 1 is slightly shorter than Shadow 2. LHF Robusto has 2 shadow layers, so you can get what is called a split shade effect, which I'm going to show you how to achieve right now. Turn the Shadow 2 layer on and turn Shadow 1 off. Then with everything on Shadow 2 layer selected, I'm going to go to my Transparency panel and change the opacity from 100% to 30%. Change the blend mode to multiply. Go back to the Layers panel and turn Shadow 1 back on. Now you can see the split shade effect. The black of Shadow 1 is a little too black, so I'm going to make it dark brown instead. Then, like before, we're going to continue stacking the font layers on top of each other by dragging the Shadow 1 layer onto the new layer icon to duplicate it. Lock the other layers below the Shadow 1 copy layer. With the duplicate layer Shadow 1 copy selected, go back up to the character drop-down and choose the font LHF Robusto Regular. It won't look like I've changed the font until I change the color to this cream color. You can see now that our stacked multi-part fonts are looking pretty good so far, and they're perfectly aligned with each other. To stay organized, rename this layer Regular to match the font that is on that layer. LHF Robusto has 2 more inset layers. So, like before, we're going to duplicate the regular layer by dragging it onto the new layer icon. Then lock the regular layer. If I move the text on the top layer, you can see that it is indeed just a copy of the text in the layer below it. Change the color of this copied layer to orange. Go back up to the character drop-down and choose one of the inset layers. This is LHF Robusto Inset 2. And this is LHF Robusto Inset 1, which will be the font for this particular layer. Make sure to go down in your Layers panel and rename this layer Inset 1. We're going to add one last layer. Duplicate the Inset 1 layer by dragging it onto the new layer icon. Then lock the Inset 1 layer. With the text on the copied layer selected, change its color to brown. Change the font to LHF Robusto Inset 2. Rename this layer Inset 2 to match the font on that layer. Unlock all the other text layers. Let's do an overview of the 5 different fonts LHF Robusto contains. The bottom text layer has the font Shadow 2. Above that is Shadow 1, then Regular. On top of Regular is Inset 1, and on top of that is Inset 2. So we've successfully layered all the fonts of the multi-part font LHF Robusto. But what if we've misspelled something? Or we want to change the word entirely? You can see that we have 5 layers of editable text on top of each other. I'll pull them apart so you can see them all. Well, now I'm going to show you how to change your word even after you've got all of your layers stacked. There's 2 different ways to do this. The long way would be to change the word one text layer at a time. Select the top layer and change the word to signs. That only changed the topmost Inset 2 layer though. I need to change all the other font layers too. In order to do this, I would have to lock the top layer I've changed already, and then select the type layer below it and change the word to signs again. You can see while this process works, it will take entirely too long to do. So I'm going to show you a quick little trick that Charles Borges de Oliveira showed me, which uses Illustrator's Find and Replace function. This process starts by highlighting all the text layers that you want to change the wording of. These red boxes in your Layers panel indicate that you have selected the content on these layers. If you don't see these red squares, then you might have a layer locked. Next, we're going to go up to the Edit drop-down menu and select Find and Replace. This brings up a dialog box. In the Find field, you will need to type the word you've already created in your design, but ensure you type it exactly how it appears in your design. Then make sure Match Case and Find Whole Word are checked. In the Replace With field, type the word you want to replace it with. I'm going to change my word to signs. Then click the Find button. This will highlight all the text on each layer. Then simply press Replace All. Click OK, then Done. Find and Replace has replaced all of the text on each layer instantly. The Find and Replace function makes it easy to change all the text layers for multi-part fonts quickly. You can also save the file as a template for future use. Simply change the text for a complete design without having to type out any of the layers again. To enroll in any of our courses or to schedule team training for your business, head over to NWITD.com.